everyone, it's Kimber Schaefer here with Rage in the Cage OKC. We are here at the weight room at the Lighthouse, a sponsor for Rage 53. The event is going down Saturday, July 29th at the Oklahoma City Farmers Public Market. One of the pro fights on that card is Richie Bowen. We're so excited to have you back. You're going to be fighting Tolu Tech Daddy Agunbiad. Please forgive me if I'm saying that wrong, Tolu. Love ya. You are just such a powerhouse in the MMA world. I've definitely seen it. I saw it in the cage for your last fight, December 16th for Rage in the Cage. That was a quick victory. You fought Ken Coulter, who has been around Rage in the Cage for a few years now, so I definitely know his fight style, and you come in there and you took charge that day, and I haven't been able to see you since. In fact, none of us have been able to see you since that was your last fight. So tell us a little bit about that win for you, what that meant, and what you've been doing since then.
I just worked really hard for that fight, worked really hard for this fight, and keep training at R1 and just getting better all the time.
Better, and we're so excited to see you display that coming up on July 29th. Let's talk about it. You had a really powerful amateur career as well as you're doing really great in your pro career. If I remember correctly, it's 5-1 as an amateur and 8-4 as a pro. Okay, I mean, that's a really good career that you've had so far. Can you kind of walk me through some of those highs and lows?
The highs are really high, the lows are really, really low, and that's one thing that pushes me to train so hard is nobody likes to lose, especially me, and I just train as hard as I can and go in there and just leave it all in the cage.
What about some of your specific wins in your career? Do you remember some of those and which ones were kind of meant the most to you?
The hard fights are definitely the more memorable ones. You never ever forget your losses. Those kind of haunt you no matter what, but it doesn't keep you from trying to do better in every single fight. And mostly it's preparation. That's like the biggest thing for me is preparation, getting ready for each fight. I wanna win. So
name of the game, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your training. You train at R1, is that correct?
That's
and
right.
Tell me about the facilities there and how they prepare you for your fights.
Man, the guys at R1 are killers. When you train with lions, you fight like a lion. That's really how it is there. It's great camaraderie. It's a blessing to get to train there. I love every one of those guys. All of them are well-rounded, so there's really no opponent that can be thrown at me that I can't prep for, whether it's a tall guy, a great wrestler, great boxer, or all the above. We've got it all around.
Well, and I want to talk to you about, and I've probably asked you this before, about your history, what made you get into MMA, so you forgive me and humor me if I ask you this in your last interview, because that was 6 months ago and I have 4 kids and I forget.
No worries, no worries. I've always been competitive. Once high school was out, it was what's the next thing, and I saw mixed martial arts and just had to try it, tried it, loved it, and never looked back.
What sports did you play in high school?
Everything. Basketball, football, baseball, whatever they had, I did it every year.
Did you go to a small school?
I did. I graduated 20, including myself, so pretty small school.
Yeah, usually when somebody tells me they played all the sports, I can usually gather it was a small town.
Yeah, Paola. It's hard to find. The joke is if you blink twice, you'll miss it.
Well, that's all right, because I live in a small town now, from Edmond, Oklahoma City, but moved to a small town, and I love it because you really do get to learn all the sports.
Now everybody knows everybody. It was competitive there, and it's still competitive now, and I don't ever think that'll change.
And what are you really hoping to get out of this? I know that a lot of the answer is UFC for everybody, but when you really ask and you dig deeper, there's a lot more that people learn from MMA and getting in the cage than just the big picture of going to the UFC. I mean, how else has it helped you, made you the person that you are?
I think a cage fight is something that really everybody at least ought to try once in their life. I think you can find out more about yourself in there than years of just going through life every day 9-to-5 job. You'll find out what you want, how bad you want it when you get in there.
Well, I see that, and after the fight, obviously I'm doing the post-fight interviews, so I'm in there with those fighters, with those raw emotions. And right after a fight, I don't know if you've noticed this, some fighters are angry.
Oh yeah.
Some fighters are like joyous and happy. I mean, you see some emotions spill out of fighters, and people that I would have never guessed.
Yeah. I mean, guys, they'll leave everything they've got in there, and if you lose, it's a hard loss. If you win, then the victory is so sweet. I think a lot of us just keep chasing that feeling and don't ever want to quit. Someday we may all have to, just from age or whatever the case may be, but I'd like to do it as long as I can.
And I wanted to ask you, because you've been around for a while, and I know that you probably have some great lessons learned and some great advice. A lot of the people that follow our YouTube channel, as you know, are new fighters, guys out there that are just trying to learn the game. They're trying to get some advice. And What advice would you give somebody that really wants, like you said, this could be a bucket list for some people?
I think the age-old saying would be hard work beats talent every time. I think I've beaten guys that were better boxers, better wrestlers, better jiu-jitsu fighters than I was. I think I wanted it more in training and preparation, and that's why I think I won. I beat the better man, but not because I was better at boxing or jiu-jitsu or wrestling than he was, but because I trained harder than he did. And that's why I like to go to R1. These guys train hard. It's just the best way I can put it is it's the grind. So,
when you're in a fight camp, I mean, people say train hard, but what does that mean to you? Does that mean training 2 hours a day, 4 hours a day, or is this like a full-time job for some?
For some, it's a full-time job. If it's not, you've got to get every hour, every minute, every second in that you can. And if you're not gassed and tired and just ready to collapse right where you are, I don't think you train hard enough. You've got to get in there and give it all you've got just to do better the very next day. And it's not about being the best that day, it's about being better today than you were the day yesterday. And that'll take you far.
I agree. And July 29th, what can these fans at Rage in the Cage expect out of you?
Preparation and fireworks. I think it'll be a good show. Rage in the Cage always puts on a good show. I'm excited for it. As soon as I heard about this fight, I was anxious to be a part of it, and I'm super excited to be back in there.
Well, we are so excited to have you back for Rage in the Cage. I've obviously only been able to see you fight for Rage in the Cage once, but it was an amazing experience. So glad to have you back on another card, and hopefully many more in the future. You guys join us, see Richie Bowen as he is making his second appearance for Rage in the Cage. It's all going down Saturday, July 29th at the Oklahoma City Farmers Public Market. And before I move on and wrap up, as I was just about to do, I forgot to ask you, do you have any sponsors or shout outs? All right, well, let's do that.
Always a big shout out to R1. Those guys, they train hard and they deserve it. You know, all the glory to God. My sponsors, thank y'all so very much. I've got them on my shirt just to rattle that off real quick.
Ooh, R1, is that MoPro, Steel Co, and TMI Construction, and construction, roofing, and restoration.
They're the best. If you need any help with any of that, I personally recommend it.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. Hey, and I'm going to repeat that again. Join us Saturday, July 29th for Rage in the Cage 53. You can get your tickets from Richie Bowen, any other fighter on the card, or of course, stubwire.com, and we hope to see you there.